the future of global economy is the blockchain, is decentralized finance, period. And if you
100%,
if you don't see that now, this to me is just cracking it open. We're going to be introducing the masses to the blockchain by vis-a-vis artwork and music. What better way to do it?
BitSwap is the hottest new way to trade tokens. Crawling all the top decentralized exchanges, BitSwap will get you the very best price and value for your trades. BitSwap is changing the game. Try it now at bitswapdex.com. Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, the largest crypto channel in all the interwebs. My name is Ben. Every day on this channel, I show you how to make money in cryptocurrency. If you like money and crypto, make sure to hit that subscribe button or win a full Bitcoin. Details down below in the description. Today, I brought on the lead singer from the hit band OneRepublic, also a mega songwriter for a lot of your favorite artists out there, Ryan Tedder. He's an early crypto investor that has quite more interest in blockchain than Bitcoin. How novel. He thinks this is the next movement that is going to change the world forever. So find out what he's doing and why he feels so strongly the blockchain is the future. Let's jump into the interview.
Hey everybody, today I'm pleased to be joined by Ryan Tedder, the lead singer of OneRepublic. You guys may know it. They've got a lot of hits, but he's also got a lot of other involvement in the music industry as well. Other than just being the lead singer, he's written several songs from major, artists you may have heard of. He's done a lot of collaborations. Today, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So let's start with what is your involvement with cryptocurrency? Like, do you own Bitcoin?
Yes.
How'd you get started?
So I own multiple coins. I started investing in crypto in early 2017.
Nice.
So I was round one, Polychain Capital, Olaf Carlson Wee. So what I kind of ascertained quickly, the moment I understood, the moment I first heard of Bitcoin and the blockchain, I became way more obsessed with the blockchain than I did Bitcoin itself.
Gotcha.
Because at that point it was, so nascent and so far off from being anywhere close to like a Federal Reserve currency that, and it was so volatile. I mean, it still is to a lesser degree, but it was so volatile that I was like, okay, Bitcoin, cool, but blockchain, holy hell. And like my brain exploded when I understood what it was. I went on a deep dive. I'd be like driving to venues in the tour bus or like, I remember driving down to San Diego one time, 3-hour drive. And the entire time I forced my wife to listen to podcasts on the blockchain. And she wanted to kill me by the end of the drive, but I needed to understand it. I've always felt that there was a far more efficient, transparent way to transact peer-to-peer globally than previously existed. And one thing that I learned quickly was, okay, I'm very aware of what I don't know. And so what I try to do anytime I'm investing in a new space, whether it's, I do a lot of venture capital, invest in a lot of consumer product groups, a lot of tech, real estate. I always find people that are smarter than me and I surround myself with them and then I kind of learn from them. So my early investment in crypto was I quickly identified, okay, Olaf Carlson Wee, employee number one at Coinbase, understands more about crypto and the blockchain than arguably any human on earth, other than maybe Nakamoto himself or herself or whoever the self. They self. So I bet on Olaf, right? And invested in Polychain, and without going into graphic detail, obviously have done very well by that investment. And for me at the time, that was very scary. It was a sizable check. And I was like, oh my God, is this gonna, and it went like this, right? For a while. And then it just kept going like this, right? And I'm still invested with Polychain. So yes, I'm invested in crypto. And then I own some, like Origin. I own a pretty sizable chunk of the Origin coin. And for a while now have been buying NFTs, gifting Top Shots for birthdays. I have been in let's predate crypto for a minute. I have been in the same month pretty much that Nakamoto's letter was first published, right, on the internet, which was, I believe, 2008. That was the exact same time that I bought my first one of one anything. So I've been a massive fan of art and collectibles since I made a dime. So the first disposable income I ever had from OneRepublic and writing for Beyonce and Adele was like 2008 was when I first started getting actual money. I bought a Norman Rockwell painting because I grew up drawing the Saturday Evening Posts as a kid, and I found the cheapest one I could find in the country and bought it. And that started me on a journey of purchasing art, right? For no other reason than I loved it, and I loved the fact that it was singular. I then in 2009 discovered that there was a whole space of this whole, not underworld, but like secretive world that most people don't know about. And it's not the dark web, but that where you can own historical documents that you would think would otherwise be in museums.
Yeah.
So I started buying handwritten letters from George Washington, from Mount Vernon, Abraham Lincoln on White House stationery, like during the Civil War, photographs of Lincoln. I have letters from Napoleon, the last speech Gandhi ever gave. I have the original hand script. I've got ledgers for the original blockchain, which is the Medicis from the 1400s.
Yeah.
The first airplane taking off from Kitty Hawk, signed by Orville Wright. So I started buying these one of ones through different places around the internet, and they're literally hanging right next to me. And then like some of the artwork I have. So everything about the NFT space, my whole life, it's so funny. Once they, and I've been tracking the NFT space since just before CryptoKitties, seeing some of the memes go off, and then CryptoPunks. I didn't invest in any of them, and the reason is very simple. They did not provide me any emotion. They didn't make me feel emotional, right? I got clobbered by friends, and I'm super tight with Gary Vee. I had a meal with him just a few days ago. We talked about for 3 hours about NFTs and his plan for the future for NFTs, and we talked about sports cards and everything else. And he's brilliant. He was all over me and a bunch of people on buying CryptoPunks, and I didn't buy it. And they're like, "Oh, you're gonna miss out. You're gonna miss the wave." And I'm like, "See, that's the thing about waves is by the time you see it and you try to get on it, it's already going down." Yeah. And I told him, I was like, I would rather spend, if I'm going to spend $50,000 on a CryptoPunk, I would rather spend 50 grand on a Keith Haring subway drawing that I know is a one of one that's authenticated that I can have. Like those don't make me feel emotional. So when it comes to collectibles, the NFT space for me made all the sense in the world because it's what I already do in the analog world and in the digital world. And I'm a unforgiving, infatigable collector. So for me, creating an original piece of music, I'm currently executive producing 6 albums for 6 different major artists. And my whole job, the only reason I get hired to do anything is I have the ability to create songs that the world wants to hear. Like the annoying song you hear in Whole Foods for the rest of your life, right?
If you could give us, what are some of the biggest hits? I know some of them, but what are some of the biggest hits you've had by other artists that you've written?
Well, yeah, outside of OneRepublic, our biggest hits were Counting Stars and Apologize. Right. For other artists, most recently, Jonas Brothers.
Too late to apologize, I heard.
Too late. Yeah, it is very often too late. Depends on how.
I'm sorry for interrupting. I hope it wasn't too late.
No, it's fine.
I'm just kidding.
This is 3 layers to this one. Most recently, I had a #1 song going into the calendar year with Lady A called Champagne Nights in Country, and a #1 with Thomas Rhett. So Champagne Nights, my record, Thomas Rhett, and Nothing a Beer Can't Fix, #1 last year. Jonas Brothers, Sucker. Ariana Grande, I have single on Justin Bieber's most recent album, Ariana Grande's most recent album. Biggest hits, Beyonce, Halo, Bleeding Love. I did the first single on Paul McCartney's last album, 2 years ago. I produced the last 2 U2 albums. And then most recently, Adele, I did 21 and 25, worked on both those albums. I did Rumor Has It, and I did Ellie Goulding, Burn, a bunch of Beyonce stuff, and kind of, I'm leaving out a ton because I'm trying in my brain to extrapolate which songs came out. Which
some of them with Miley Cyrus.
I did about a third of Miley Cyrus's most recent album.
Oh wow!
And I'm actually writing on her next album right now with her, like presently, as in this week. And then I'm executive producing, Bastille. I had a hit with Kygo this past summer, Lose Somebody. And I'm working with Tiesto and Bastille and Eamon Beck and John Legend and kind of it's all over the map right now.
It's a who's who.
It's a who's who. It's a virtual artist cornucopia.
Yeah.
So,
that's a good word.
Yeah, but to bring that out of the clouds into what makes what I'm doing in the NFT space weird or bizarre is that my gig again is trying to write songs that billions of people want to hear repeatedly to the point of annoyance, right? Hit songs, a hit true smash hit record, that the whole world wants to listen to so many times and they don't get sick of it. So 95% roughly of the NFTs that have dropped live in the electronic music world, right? I've even bought some from Blau to Aoki, even the people that are dropping them that aren't DJs are dropping electronic oriented music, right? It's very cyberpunk style graphics. It's like a lot of the NFT visual artwork, again, some of which I own, is like, I always say it's like two robots hanging out in the future inside the Matrix, like dancing at each other. Like there's a lot of, or like, you know what I mean? Like everything, I was like, it's like a lot of the NFTs, it's like, and I'm not throwing shade at it at all, because again, I have bought some, but it is like everyone watched Minority Report, then made an NFT.
Yeah.
And that's, you know what I mean? And that's how, so I'm doing the opposite. I'm going the complete polar opposite direction. My drop and the artwork and the associated music, I made sure we dialed the art before I did the music, because I wanted the music and the song, the lyric, to represent the art. The song is actually called Nakamoto. Wow. Yeah, the song's called Nakamoto. The entire song, it's super subversive. It is a song about the NFT space, literally about NFTs, and I guess in theory you could say the blockchain. But wrapped in a super nostalgic Beach Boys meets the Gorillaz pop song. Yeah. So if you hear me singing, the way I pitch my voice, it almost sounds like Foster the People or something. Like I pitched it up, so it's not a Ryan Tedder solo song at all. It's not a OneRepublic song. I approached this as if this character, this artwork that we created, is a recording artist, and this is their first single. And that's how I approached it. Oh, like this is not
okay.
Like the Gorillaz. That's how I did it.
The Gorillaz were very futuristic, really.
I love the Gorillaz, dude. I'm friends with the guy. I'm friends with the guy that signed them, actually. Wow. And I wrote this like I'm writing a hit song for this character. I did it. There will be other drops. I will intentionally not replicate this ever again, obviously. For me, this is just the culmination of everything that I love. It's like blockchain, check. Decentralized, check. Art, check. Street art, check. Saturday morning cartoons, check. Because that's what this is. Everyone's going crypto punk, like cyberpunk, right? In terms of sound and visual, I'm going Saturday morning cartoons, dopamine, Lucky Charms,
nostalgia.
Nostalgia. And I'm just making something that I want to sit around and listen to and watch for infinity.
Yeah. Well, let's check out the site here. We've got, it's nft.ryantedder.com. Like you mentioned, you own some Origin. This is powered by Origin. Why Origin protocol?
Why Origin? So I chose Origin protocol. There's two reasons. One is they're one of the, I was very, very, very emphatic from the beginning of this process that if my mother in Tulsa could not figure out how to participate in this auction or bid on something, it's too complicated. And she's 69 and not tech savvy. So needing a wallet of any kind for me was off. And look, there are so many good platforms that do NFT drops, right? Obviously Nifty Gateway is phenomenal. Like there's a bunch of good ones. If you need a wallet of any kind, if it is more complicated than taking your Visa, my objective with NFTs is to pull it out of the cyberpunk world and out of the tech savvy world and into the mass marketplace. That's my objective, is to demystify this and this is artwork, right? It is no different than the stuff you go and buy and have hanging on your wall. It's a sports card. It's the super rare, He-Man Battle Cat that you have sitting behind you. That's probably an original. It's that's what it is, right? But when you start going down the realm of coin wallets and blockchain, like people in the middle of like where I'm from, right? And a lot of my friends from Oklahoma, like their eyes start to glaze over because it's too much. So I'm trying to remove that. And Origin is one of the only platforms that allowed me to do that. Right now, they have the tech where someone can just plug in their Visa, and if
Yeah.
they choose to bid on this, they can. Look, like I will be doing others. Will I be doing them more with Origin? Probably. Will I be doing them all with Origin? Probably not. The other reason I like Origin is I'm an investor. I do a lot of VC investment, and one of the companies I'm invested in is called Bright. It's a online educational platform that's about to launch, and it was founded by Michael Powers, who was like the freshman class of YouTube. He invented YouTube channels, and all of his, like, we call freshman class, like the original employees of YouTube when it started. Two of them branched off and started Origin. So I knew about Origin through via Michael Powers. And then also I invested in Strike, Jack Mallers' Bitcoin neobank company, the payment system, right? Strike buys out, and they also were very effusive when talking about Origin. So that is why I chose Origin. Ease of use. Anybody can participate in this. Just makes it easy.
Yeah, and like you said, people will be able to buy some of the packs here with credit cards. Now, there's a big pushback against using credit cards to buy crypto stuff, and it's kind of silly to me. Now, look, some of the people that are pushing that message, I respect them, but obviously, if we want the mainstream to come in, we're going to need lower barriers of entry. So I'm all for that.
Yes.
We did our wax. We have the Bit vs. Comic series we released. Credit cards were accepted, and I think it's important to kind of ease into things. So I do think that's definitely good for getting and onboarding new people, because if you're using your platform as a musician, you're like an A-level musician. You're not just some random guy strumming a guitar in a bar. When you're at your size and you got a platform, you want to be able to draw people in through that platform. But 95% of your people probably have no idea how to use crypto. So
correct.
So I think it's really good to have it as that easy step. Now, real quick, I want to talk about some of the NFTs here. You've got some different tiers for your NFTs, and we've already talked about a little bit about what the collection looks like, but you want to kind of elaborate on what those different tiers are and kind of what people can be expecting from the auction.
Yes. So we're gonna post all the tiers, I believe, this evening. In typical fashion, this is like making an album for me. So I was working up to literally the deadline of them being able to mint these things. I was changing last minute changes to the music, like making it as perfect as humanly possible, which is why all the different tiers haven't been posted yet. But what I'll do is I'll start at the top. The top tier, there's going to be, first of all, a one-on-one interaction with me. So whoever happens to win that, you're winning the complete song with the original artwork. Each tier is individualized artwork. Like the themes are different, the colors are different, the backgrounds are different, the selection of music is different, and obviously, like any other tiered system, you've got on the lowest tiers, you're going to have like 1 of 7, right? And then it goes 1 of 4, and so on and so forth, up to the top tier where it's truly 1 of 1, the entire song in its entirety with its own original art. And on top of that, I'm going to do a Zoom with whoever wins the first tier. If they happen to be a musician or a songwriter whatsoever, if they happen to be, I will happily critique, like go through and kind of work over one of their original pieces of music. I'm on a TV show on NBC called Songland for the last 2 or 3 years. That's what I do in real time every day anyway. Yeah. So normally I charge a lot of money to do that. I'm going to just do that as part of this tier 1.
Okay, tier so 2, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and spit some bars and let me know what you think. Because I've got the Zoom one-on-one Zoom meeting here, right? So I've got the first step. Second step, I'm going to spit bars. I'm just kidding.
That's right.
I'm not actually
exactly.
I'm trying to get Eminem on to talk about his NFTs, and then I'm going to.
I'll try to turn the bars into bags. How about that?
I like that. Okay, all right. So let's continue here. Had to make a bar joke.
Yeah. So the tiers, with each tier it'll be different artwork. Obviously there will be more allotment in each tier. Like I said, 1 of 1, 1 of 3, 1 of 5, 1 of 7, so on and so forth. Each one's completely different artwork. And then I believe tier 1 and tier 2 also have one-on-one interaction. This will not be my first drop. I think it's important to note, I'm donating 10% of the proceeds of whatever this achieves. It sounds, at the risk of sounding cliche, this, for me, I don't see this as a land grab. The song's called Nakamoto. It was originally called Ocean. because I've been saying this about NFTs for a while now. It's not a wave, it's an ocean.
Yeah.
And it's about what boat you build, where do you take it, how big is the boat, is it scalable, who wants to be on the boat, right? That's what it is. And for me, this is me deploying my first boat onto that ocean. I plan on doing this. I'm not going to beat it into the ground by doing a drop every 30 days and devaluing the overall space by creating just a deluge of crap. This is stuff that, like, me writing a song, knowing that only a handful of people will get it as a piece of art. This is something that, like, I'm removing any, like, if you write a smash like that you own the IP to, it can be in the tens of millions of dollars of value. One song. I'm removing any future possibility of that by doing this, but I'm doing it for the experience. I have no clue what it's going to make. I don't really care. This sounds ridiculous, but like I was very lucky and blessed this year. I sold my catalog of music, so I had a very good financial year. And I'm doing this because I love the space and I'm fascinated by it. The whole thing, I just think the future of global economy is the blockchain, is decentralized finance, period. And if you
100%,
if you don't see that now, this to me is just cracking it open. We're going to be introducing the masses to the blockchain by vis-a-vis artwork and music. What better way to do it, right? Yeah. And then I agree with your point that you made earlier about it's kind of ironic that we're using or self-defeating in a way that you're using, normal fiat currency to make a transaction in Bitcoin or in a crypto space. But ultimately, I think we're months away from the first of many countries declaring Bitcoin as their federal reserve currency. I also believe that to be true. And watch the news because it's coming. And then it's just going to be waterfall. Ooh. And so I think this space is we're at the very, very, very tip top of the iceberg. But for me, this isn't a land grab. 10% of the sale is going to be donated to International Justice Mission, which is the #1 anti-slavery organization in the world. Child trafficking, like
love that,
forced labor. And then the other 5% I'm donating to Drop for Drop, which is a clean water well building nonprofit based out of the UK. We're building our 12th well with them right now in Uganda and one in India. And it's clean water that the #1 cause of death for people under the age of 5 globally is dirty water. Hopefully it does well enough that I'm writing big checks to IJM and to Drop for Drop.
Hopefully it does well enough. That was well. I also want to say earlier when you said that NFTs are not a wave, they're an ocean.
Yeah.
And then you talked about boats. I wanted to say we're going to need a bigger boat, but I didn't get to squeeze that one in there. That's a Jaws reference.
I caught the Jaws reference. No, I appreciate that. We are going to need a bigger boat.
Yeah. I need to make sure, like, if I don't get to squeeze my jokes in, that I add them at the end so people get to hear what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're the Punisher.
Oh my God, that was good. That was really good.
Yeah.
I really
there
like
you go.
that. I'm going to reuse that.
Go.
I'm looking at the NFT, by the way. I was sent some artwork on what it looks like. Reminds me of Snarf. Do you know Snarf?
Yes, 100%.
Reminds me a little. The one I'm looking at reminds me a little Snarf. But we'll add some of these on the screen so people can see preview of what it's going to look like. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today. I think I love your viewpoint on a lot of this stuff. For everybody that wants to go check out the NFTs, they're going to be at nft.ryantedder.com. That is TEDDER. And really, I'm always fascinated by how these go. I love your outlook on the fact that, like, hey, you don't care how much you make from this. This is an experiment. Like, let's see how this does. Let's see how this cutting edge technology and new way of selling merchandise and songs and collectibles. I love that. I think that's what we look at everything we do here as. Like, it's just fun to see the evolution of the world, and everything's multi-layered that you're doing. I really like that too. So good luck with the sale. Hope it goes
Thank
well.
you, man.
I hope that these organizations that you're supporting also get some nice checks from this. So that would be definitely the best outcome. So thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Everybody drop comments down below on what you thought about this interview. And if you're planning on going and checking these out or not, that's all we got. Be blessed. Way out.